gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yes, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so exciting. I feel like I haven't done this in such a long time, but to our audience and our viewers back at home, welcome to another brand new episode of
Lead Now.
And this amazing show is all about highlighting and breaking down the concept of leadership. And on today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be very special. But before we do that, I go by the name of Rendani Chibuda, aka Randy, your number one MC.
And I am Anton Venter, a.k.a. Anton Venter.
Come on.
Yeah, I just want to say, you'll see our setup is a little bit differently.
Yes.
We've been demoted to a normal studio instead of the fancy one. So maybe if we perform well enough, we can work ourselves up the ranks again.
But in the spirit of leadership, we don't let it break us down, okay?
Yes.
It actually amplifies us and makes us stronger. But if you've been watching our series, you'll realize that we've been covering the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership by Dr. John C. Maxwell. And I mean, it's been fantastic.
Yes.
We're building up. We're in the double figures now. And today's leadership law is also quite a powerful one. It's the law of buy-in. So without wasting any time, Anton, what is the law of buy-in all about?
Well, it's about buying into the leader. So typically what we have to understand is people follow people. So when you have a head of an organization that you really respect and admire and want to follow, then it's more easy to follow that person. So people buy into the leader first, and then they buy into the cause. Right.
Okay.
So typically a classic example is Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
Right, if I can talk about him. You know, Mahatma Gandhi was about this big.
Oh, height.
Height.
Yeah.
When he stood on a ladder. He was a very small man. Right. So, and yet he changed the world. He had such an impact, and it wasn't about physical size, it was about size of his character. So with Mahatma Gandhi, he believed in his cause. And he pursued that cause, and he was able to convince the people to buy into his cause. Really, you know, they were protesting violently because he stepped in and he said, this is a better way of doing it. So the people bought into him as the leader. And once they bought into him, they bought into his cause. And that's the principle of the law of buy-in. So you can go look throughout history. I mean, some of the most atrocious things in the world happened because people were following the leader.
They bought into that person.
They bought into that person. You know, I mean, apartheid with Hendrik Verwoerd. It was because Hendrik Verwoerd as a leader got the Afrikaans people to buy into him.
Yeah.
More than into the policy. You know, and that's the thing. You go look at Hitler. The German people bought into Hitler as their leader. And that is really how it is. So people will buy into you as a leader, what you do, the type of person you are, the example you set. That is what they buy into. And then after that, they follow the cause.
I love the names. I love the names you brought up. You know, I mean, we can speak about Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X as well. But how does one become a person like that? How do you attract people in that way? How do you become that type of leader?
There's no secret formula. You know, basically, you become that type of leader because you win people's admiration and people's respect. Now, you might think to yourself, how did anyone respect Adolf Hitler? Okay, but the German people had tremendous respect for him because of the way he held himself. You know, so when you really believe in what you stand for, and that is what you push for the whole time, that is what people buy into. I've seen it at school. You know, typically, the different schools where I taught at, you know, I always drove rugby as a sport because I loved rugby. So a few years ago, I was at a school in Natal, KwaZulu-Natal, very small private school. They had 94 kids in the high school, okay? Of which there were, out of the 94, we were 43 boys in the whole high school. Out of the 43 boys, when I got there, they basically didn't have rugby. They had like 7 aside because a little few will play here and there. Out of those 43 boys, I was able to create 2 full rugby teams with reserves. 37 out of those 43 boys played rugby.
There we go.
Right. Why? Because I was passionate about it. And here came this guy, and he had this passion, and he loved it, and he made it fun, and he made it exciting, and everybody wants to be part of a winning story. That's the thing. So you as a leader, if you can sell that picture properly, and you can make it exciting, make it something that people want to be part of, then it happens. Okay, but it starts with you. So you have to live that life first,
Yeah.
right? You have to be authentic, and you have to really set the example. Okay. So if we look at traditional leaders, people who inspired people like that, another one that comes to mind is Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
You know, so Nelson Mandela had a huge following worldwide, right? And people became aware of the struggle against apartheid because of the persona called Nelson Mandela, right? So across the world, everyone knew who Nelson Mandela was because of the person he was, his character, the values he displayed. That is what we do. So as a leader, that is the most essential thing. You have to live like the person you want to become, and you have to inspire others to try to do the same.
Shifting it from an individual, let's speak from a team's perspective,
Yep.
organizational perspective. Would you say teams perform better, on the basis of how they buy into their coach or leader specifically?
Yes. You see, any good leader will create some form of bigger picture. Right, so let's look at 1995 Rugby World Cup.
Francois Pinard.
Yes, right, so Francois Pinard, Kitch Christie. So what they did, and this is, if you go read Nelson Mandela's autobiography, he will tell you about it. So he bought into the Springboks as a team to unite the nation. Because that World Cup happened straight after apartheid was basically dismantled.
The new democracy.
Something was needed to bring the people together. And that was Mandela's strategy. Okay, so he used the rugby. And he created that picture in the minds of those Springboks. So when those guys ran onto the field, they played for the 44 million people in South Africa at that stage. Okay, they didn't just play for themselves or for the white minority or for whatever else. They went onto the rugby field and they played for a higher purpose.
Yes.
So they knew if we can deliver for something bigger than ourselves, then we can pull it through. And that's what happens. So as a leader, as a coach, you got to create that bigger picture. You got to create that higher purpose. And you got to sell it as a leader. And then the rest of the guys will buy in. But once again, it starts with you as the leader.
Yes.
Right, so people will follow you. Okay. Now, there's a very good coach as well. His name is Shaun Erasmus. He was the SA Schools coach a few years ago. And that is what he does. He focuses on the heads of his players.
Yes.
So he gets them to understand that you are playing for more than just yourself. There's more at stake here than just you. Heineke Meyer used to do the same. So for Heineke Meyer, he used to say, you become a champion off the field, and then you can become one on the field. So it's about the way you live.
Yes.
And that is what good coaches do. With teams, in any area, any leader of a strong team, of a strong organization, has that ability to get his people to focus on the bigger picture, to pull together,
It's a strong
to
vision.
follow him, so that we can move forward to the vision. Yes.
Ultimately, it's the transferal of energy.
Yes.
So if I possess a certain energy and I have a vision, it will influence those who are looking and who are watching.
Yes.
Okay. But I want to shift it a little bit. I mean, I believe it cuts the other way as well.
Yes.
I remember the story about the principal, who was reported to the department by his staff. Now, that school had a high annual turnover, and people just kept on leaving. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, because you taught me that story.
Yeah. No, that comes back to the law of connection. You say, if I'm saying the law of buy-in means that people will buy into you as a leader and then buy into your vision.
Yes.
What if the people don't buy into you as a leader? Then they're not going to buy into your vision.
Yes.
Understand? So if you as a person cannot form a connection with your people, if you as a leader cannot get them to like you, basic thing like that, right? If you're not a likable person, then it's going to be extremely difficult to lead other people.
Yes.
So you have to form the connection. People must be able to connect with you for them to buy into you. Because if they don't, then they're simply not going to buy into your vision. I saw it at my at school as well. You have competitions every year between registration classes.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
we are raising funds, or it's a food collection.
Yes.
And the class that collects the most food is the class that wins. The most interesting thing is you will always have certain teachers who are always at the top of that competition, regardless of who their classes are.
Yeah.
And you get other teachers who are not. They get almost nothing out of these kids. Why? Because these teachers who win the competition are the ones who connect the best with their kids.
Yeah.
The kids love the teacher.
Yeah.
So when the teacher says, let's go for this, guys, this is a great dream, we are pushing,
move.
everyone's on board.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
love the passion.
Yes.
So they go for that passion, they want to be part of the success story. Whereas the teacher sits there, okay, who brought food today? Right, guys, you must remember to bring your food for tomorrow. Oh, please.
There's no
Right.
connection.
Yeah, there's no connection.
Inspiration around
Understand?
that.
People
Yeah.
don't buy into it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So it's very important that if people want to buy into you, there needs to be a connection.
Yes.
With you. They need to hit your heart.
Yes.
Remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right.
Ah, there we go.
Yes.
That deserves that. I believe so. This is where we. That's why he's the leadership guru. I always say this in every episode. And before we even move on to our next engagement part, I just want to remind the people that this is the Law of Buyin.
Yes.
All right, by Dr. John C. Maxwell, and it's the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Continue to watch the series. There's so much information that we're sharing as we are about to draw to a conclusion. All right, you made me realize something. You know, when people buy into a leader, you know, and what the leader stands for, they follow that person, even if the leader's not a good leader.
Yeah. Well, they will always follow a good leader.
Yes.
But what happens is if the leader doesn't know what he's doing, right, but he's a good leader,
Yeah.
then he still has a following.
Yes.
Okay, for example, Winston Churchill.
Yes.
Winston Churchill is regarded as the man who basically turned the tide in the Second World War. Right, he turned the hearts and the minds of the British people. Winston Churchill was a journalist before he became a politician. Understand? So before he became a leader, he was a journalist. So what Winston Churchill did well was he was able to speak to the heart of the English people.
Yes.
So he delivered these beautiful, rousing speeches.
Yeah, powerful
That
speeches.
got the people. So people bought into him as a person. Even though he didn't know much about warfare
Yeah.
and he didn't know much about politics,
Yeah.
he brought up what we stand for as a people.
Yeah.
Right, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was an actor.
Yes.
Today
Hollywood.
people remember him as one of the best American presidents, okay, of his time. But he was a normal actor. He had no clue about what it means to be a president.
Yes.
Okay. But people bought into the role he played.
Yeah.
So he acted presidential and he looked presidential, therefore he became
The president.
presidential.
Yeah.
So the people literally, they bought into what he stood for.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what it's. Another one is Donald Trump.
Come on. This
know?
is an interesting one. Let's go.
If
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, Randy,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for a TV show called The Apprentice,
Yes.
Donald Trump would never have been president.
You reckon?
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Because the people saw this show, so now this guy looks like a leader.
And he's smart.
He acts like a leader.
Yeah.
So he must be a leader. Okay. And
Yeah.
then they voted him in. Okay. So it's really that is what it is. So it's pretty much about the buy-in people have into you. So if you are really passionate about something and you really paints the right picture,
Yeah.
if I can put it that way, people are going to buy into that.
100%.
You know, that's why at all these schools where I coach rugby, I got the boys to participate.
Yes.
Even if they haven't played in primary school, they come to high school, they want to play because they want to be part of the winning story.
Yeah.
They like the passion.
I'm a living example of that. You know?
Ah.
Yeah. I mean, although people would think that I'm a prop now. You know?
No.
But
You don't look like a prop. You look like a wing to me.
come on. Let's bring it back. You spoke of Winston Churchill, right?
Yeah.
He also jumped the mighty Uppies
Yes.
River, right? The huge Uppies.
Yeah.
I bought into that
Used to
until I saw the Uppies River. I was like,
No, he escaped from during the Anglo-Boer War. He's a prisoner of war, so he escaped
yes.
and he managed to get out. So afterwards, he wrote the account of his
Yes.
escape.
Yes.
So he literally said, "I swam the mighty
Oh my
Harpies."
goodness.
I wonder how he got anything more than his knees wet.
I look at the Uppies every day and I go, you made me buy into that. Winston, I saw what you did there. But to summarize this amazing episode to people watching back at home, you know, what message do you want to leave when it comes to the leadership law of buy-in?
Okay, very simple. On every level of society, we get great leaders. If you want to be a great leader, you have to live like a great leader. So if you want people to buy into you, you have to live like a person that you will buy into.
Come on.
That's the thing. So you live the life of a person that you will follow, and then others will start following you. It starts with you.
That's powerful. I don't want to ruin great things. It does start with you. I think that's perfectly summarized. And I'll say this, watch everything you say and watch everything you do, because you might not realize it, but someone is watching you and they're probably buying into you without you even realizing that. But a big shout out to Dr. John C. Maxwell once again.
Yes.
Fantastic content. And a big shout out to the School of Leadership. Come on, doing fantastic things as well. And once again, a big shout out to you, Anton.
Thank you, and a big shout out to you, Randy.
We made it. We're still here. Yeah. Thank you for joining us until we do it again on this amazing episode called, this amazing show called Lead Now. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yes, man.
We've hoped you've enjoyed this episode of Lead Now, proudly brought to you by the School of Leadership Africa. Please remember to follow us on our social media. You can find us on Facebook at the School of Leadership and also on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SoulAfrica_ZA. Thanks for tuning in.